Okay, guys, we are going to go over, oh, well, I have the on your own. Let me pull out the work together. We're going to do 10-3 work together real quick. There we go. All right, so we are on page 229 of your workbook, page 287 of your textbook. Section 3 of Chapter 10 is all about what if people return merchandise. And so we have sales returns, which is when people actually bring the merchandise back to us and return it to us. We give them a credit or we give them their money back. And sales allowances are where possibly we've given them some damaged goods. And so we just kind of give them a little bit of money back, but they don't actually bring the product back to us. Okay? So in your book, it says that we're using page 6 of the general journal. So all this is going to go in the general journal. Before we had been using the sales journal and the cash receipts journal, and now we're on to the general journal. So our first transaction occurs on June 3rd. It says we granted a credit to Wilbanks and Associates for merchandise return. The merchandise return was worth $457 plus the sales tax of $36.56. This was on sales invoice 356, and the total comes out to $493.56. Our document number is credit memo 41. So the account title is just going to be sales returns and allowances. Remember last chapter we had purchases, returns, and allowances? That was when we were returning merchandise. This is for when people return merchandise to us. So sales returns and allowances. Our document number is CM41. So yeah, that's CM41. You can't read that very well. Sales returns and allowances is going to be the contra account to the sales account. And you remember, hopefully from last semester, sales has a credit normal balance. And so since sales returns and allowance is going to be decreasing that, it's going to have a normal debit balance. So we need to put the 457 here. And now our sales tax payable, which is how much we need to pay the government in taxes, they said was $36.56, and it's a debit as well. And now all this is also going to affect, because we said that it's from Wilbanks and Associates. So if it had been cash, we may not have known, but now we know that it's the accounts receivable. So what we need to do, and this is something that I didn't do very well last chapter, was dealing with those diagonal marks in the posting reference column. What we need to do is we need to put accounts receivable, and then we need to do a slash, and we need to write Wilbanks and Associates, and then do the diagonal line here in the posting reference. Now, the reason we do that, and I went back, and like I said, I completely forgot to cover it with you guys last chapter. So the reason that we put the diagonal here and the diagonal here is because it's affecting two accounts. It's going to affect the accounts receivable account, and it's going to affect Wilbanks and Associates account. So this one credit here is going to have to be posted to the ledger twice. So we put the diagonal so that we know that we're going to have two posting reference entries later on in your book. We're not going to do that for this chapter, and the credit amount is $493.56. And remember, that makes sense because accounts receivable is an asset account. Asset accounts have normal debit balances, so to decrease that, you'll have to have a credit. I hope that makes sense. All right, on the 6th, we granted credit to Westfall High School for damaged merchandise. They returned $67 worth of they had $67 worth of credit from us. They had no sales tax, and we're using credit memo 42. So again, sales returns and allowances. CM 42. We just need to do $67. We don't have to worry about sales tax on this one because there was none. And then we have our accounts receivable slash Westfall High School. Again, we need to do the slash here, so we know that we're going to have to deal with accounts receivable and Westfall High School later. And we do the $67 over here. Now, you just want to add up each column and make sure that they match. So if I add 457 plus 3656, plus 67, I get 560.56. And if I do that for the other column, I get the same amount. So that they do match. We don't have to total. We don't do a total line for the general journal. So there is no total line or anything like that. But, like I said, you do want to make sure that your debits and credits match, because if they don't, then you know that you're definitely wrong. But go ahead and try and do the on your own now without me. If you have questions, then I should be able to answer them tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.